Bangalore is a reputed city of the IT and aerospace hub in India. A developing and opulent city on the surface, but its underbelly reveals a different picture. As with the other major cities in India, it has its fair share of slums. The number of slums in Bangalore has reached 778, with a number, as per the official record of the BBMPs, KSCB and BWSSB, 11% of Bangalore's 8 million population reside in slums. And many slum dwellers develop a higher risk of catching life-threatening diseases. Diseases that include dysentery, typhoid, jaundice, which are contracted through the lack of or no sanitation whatsoever. A compromise on health, well-being, and more so, dignity. So it's surprising when you glance upon a slum such as Kaveri Nagar, with a thriving community, that we would assume that sanitation would be built in, but you'd be mistaken. Appearances can be deceiving. According to a UN survey, there are more mobile phone users than toilets in India. So when you now look upon a typical dwelling, one would see a different picture, because each of these houses is in an area of 4,000 households, of which each home has one room, one kitchen, and an average of 7 occupants, amounting to a population of 30,000. So this leaves little space or money for a toileting facility. We should assume satellite dishes are beaming with wealth. If these people had real wealth, they would have more than the need of entertainment. They would purchase more land, make more space, and have a toilet. Instead, the community has to contend with improvising their own sanitation. It's a basic human right to have good health.
ಬಾತ್ರೂಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ. ರೈಲ್ ರೋಡಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ಹೋದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಮು. ರೈಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಗಂಡಸರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ಆ ಕಡೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದರೆ ಮಶಾಣ ಕಡೆ ಆ ಕಡೆ ತೊಂದರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಹೆಣ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಎತ್ಕೊ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಮಗುನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು.
A man lost his life on the railway tracks while he was defecating there because he was blind and deaf, which is why he couldn't see or hear the train coming. People were urinating in tiny lanes and taking their children to places where they could defecate. We don't really have a decent facility and are not even in a position to ask for one. People yell at us when we take our children out to the main road to defecate. There's nowhere to go and it's a very big problem for us. Previously there were no toilets here and people from all around came to this place to defecate. Children from the school did tell these people that this wasn't the place for all of this. But the slum dwellers would say that they didn't have any other place to go to. Water and Sanitation for the Urban Poor, WSUP, was registered and established as a non-profit organisation in India in 2006. Along with its partnerships in the private, civil and academic sectors, WSUP has successfully demonstrated the use of 4 pilot community sanitation programs with access to water in the slums featured in this film. Examples which can be replicated, developed and scaled up for community sanitation and is tailored to the needs of the urban poor. Schemes which will benefit those living in cities throughout nations in the developing world. We have a bathroom now thanks to Madam Kasturi. It's a lot more convenient now. Keeping this place clean will only help us and we don't have the same problems we did earlier. A nominal 1 rupee per head is collected for the usage of the toilet. People from WSUP came here and asked us about our problems. They studied the issue and built us a very good sanitation system. Things are a lot better for us since we now have this toilet, but we need to maintain and keep the system clean to avoid disease. WSUP came here and did a door-to-door survey about our problems on sanitation. They asked a lot of women about their difficulties. They also asked the women about how they managed going to the toilets and where. We supported them and helped them build a toilet facility. Now we have formed a committee that maintains the toilet and helps us make sure it's used properly. A few good people came down here and helped us out with our problems. They built a toilet here and have made our lives a lot easier. It has especially helped solve the problems that the handicapped and children over here have faced. The construction of this toilet has helped a lot, and everyone from old people to children and women benefit from it.
ఈ రోడ్ల తొందరవే పిట్టిది తొందరవే బయట పిడ్లు పోయేకి గలీజ్ చేస్తారు అంతాను దాని నుంచి కాయల వస్తుంది మోరి నుంచి కాయల మాకు మేము బాత్రూమ్ పోయేకే లేదు ఇప్పుడు బయటికి వెళ్తున్నాం మేము
Earlier there weren't too many homes here, which is why people went out to the area surrounding the lake to defecate. This later became a problem as the number of homes here increased and the problem became harder to deal with. Then a collection pit was constructed over here that only the women were allowed to use. The manner in which the pits have been constructed has been very useful. Earlier, wastewater from the drains and toilets choked the drains, and this created a lot of problems. Having wastewater coming back into the underground tanks has been of great use. The pits here fill up every 15 days because of rainwater. We can't really go elsewhere to defecate because we can't leave small children and old people at home alone. To add to the problem, there are domestic animals and men present in the places where we defecate. Please help us. By observing the way people in the slums live their lives, we created something called the slum profile. Based on this, we then educated the people in the slums on the basic necessities for having a toilet facility, in order to demonstrate how the system works. We selected 3 different areas, one which was a relatively small size, another a medium size, and finally a large area. These areas were Rajiv Gandhi Nagar, Lakshman Murthy Nagar, and Swatantra Nagar. Under consideration, we decided to make these facilities at Swatantra Nagar and Kaveri Nagar, where we found the right geographical conditions here for construction. The people of this area were very supportive, along with the government from whom we obtained permission to construct. We also selected people from the area to form a committee. The community can now seek assistance with any issue through the committee. One example is how the committee has trained and educated the community in maintaining levels of hygiene in their area. The sanitation system now in place has maintained better hygiene and cut down considerably the incidence of diseases. The final arrangement and agreement is that the committee would be entirely self-sufficient and run the sanitation unit themselves. Since the formation and the success of this committee, we are able to take the same program and scheme to implement in other areas.
This is community toilet block built in Kaveri Nagar. Here we have 14 toilets, 7 for women and 7 for gents. And here we have a caretaker room, and we have provided some tank for 7,000 liters. And we have an overhead tank, and for men's section we have provided urinals and one western commode for the aged people and for the disabled. In the ladies section we have again one western commode for aged people as well as for the disabled, and we have provided sanitary disposable provision wherein women can dispose their sanitary napkins so that they don't throw that in the pan.
In a typical DEWATS structure with a toilet block, wastewater and sewage from the communal toilet block drains into the inspection chamber, which then feeds the settler tank, where the anaerobic process begins. Biogases are expelled in the process. The effluent is then filtered through a series of chambers in a bottom to top flow, allowing sludge to settle on the upward stream and increase the efficiency of filtration in each chamber, which house fixed filter beds. Wastewater then flows to the horizontal gravel filter. Plantation absorbs minerals and water through a routing system. The aerobic process then oxidizes water in the gravel filter bed. The treated wastewater, with permitted pollution levels, flows out into the storm drain. The DEWATS approach can also be adapted for a decentralized miniature sewage plant, as demonstrated at Swatantra Nagar. Wastewater, defined as black from the toilet and grey from the kitchen, combine as sewage and pass through a network of drains from 200 households to the on-site sewage treatment plant at Swatantra Nagar, comprising of a settler tank, an anaerobic baffle reactor, a collection tank, a feeding tank, a planted gravel filter, and finally 2 opposing polishing drains. The primary treatment begins in the settler tank, where it collects any solid non-dissolvable mass, which is desludged every 1 to 2 years. The effluent is then filtered in an anaerobic baffle reactor through a series of chambers. The anaerobic process is a digestive breakdown of organic matter into sediments. Anaerobic organisms act in the absence of oxygen by releasing other gases in the process. Test pipes allow access to extracting samples of effluent and an examination of the process efficiency. The slurry then flows into the collection tank, which pumps the wastewater into the feeding tank.
The feeding tank provides some capacity for peak flows of effluent. Due to the gradient of the sewage plant, its position at height allows a gravitational flow into the horizontal filter bed based on the site condition, and then onto the horizontal gravel filter. Herein, plantation absorbs chemicals, minerals and water, releasing oxygen and retaining minute sediments. The aerobic process then oxidizes water in the gravel filter bed. The treated wastewater, with permitted pollution levels, flows out through the polishing drains and into the lake.
The WSUP program in Bangalore focused on demonstrating the development and sustainable management of communal sanitation blocks for a number of categories, from smaller units that include septic tanks to larger units based on decentralized wastewater treatment systems, or what's termed a DEWATS technology, which has been well proven. An important part of the development demonstration has been the community managed operation of these units in a sustainable manner with cost recovery. The demonstration and the development program has not had its difficulties. There were significant obstacles, not least the land issues, and this has provided a valuable learning experience for future such developments as these type of technologies can move into a mode of scaling up and replication.
It is very, very important for the stakeholders to own up the project. This is crucial for operation and maintenance. WSUP will plan the project, design the project and leave, but the overall maintenance and operation has to be taken over by a local stakeholder. Because this was important, what we did was signed a memorandum of understanding with the local municipal corporation. Now the understanding is WSUP will handhold along with the local community, support the BBMP in operation and maintenance, and BBMP takes over completely along with the community to maintain both the toilet complex and the DEWATS system.
WSUP is demonstrating the improvements made to people's lives in Bangalore slums. The overall impact of this is the improvement of health and living standards for the urban poor all over the world, with a portfolio of over 6 countries in Africa and South Asia. However, with the world population without access to safe and affordable water and sanitation, this is reaching a critical stage, with an expected increase of 137 to 296 million by 2015 for safe drinking water, and 661 to 898 million by 2015 for sanitation. Therefore, WSUP is geared, along with its multi-sector partners, to achieve the reduction in poverty, acting now for a better today and a greater tomorrow.